The weapon known as the Airborne Aircraft Carrier, AAC, has a long development history, especially in the United States. As early as the 1930s, the U.S. attempted to build large airships that could carry fighter planes. In the 1970s, the U.S. proposed another type of airborne aircraft carrier, the Boeing 747 AAC. At that time, the idea of a parasite fighter was reintroduced, and the U.S. Flight Dynamics Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Ohio proposed the ambitious concept of using existing large aircraft to be converted into airborne aircraft carriers, carrying specially designed parasite fighter planes. The C-5A was considered for the conversion, but it was ultimately deemed that the Boeing 747 passenger plane was more suitable. The Boeing 747 is a large commercial passenger-to-cargo aircraft developed by Boeing in the late 1960s with the support of the Air Force. The series of aircraft can carry hundreds of passengers for long-distance flights. This reliable and large aircraft was exactly what the Air Force wanted for conversion. Boeing claimed that the modified aircraft would have a payload capacity of 400 tons, which may have been exaggerated but was indeed very attractive. The Boeing 747 AAC is essentially a continuation of an old concept, using the modified Boeing 747 as an airborne carrier, with the original passenger or cargo cabin converted into a hangar. Designers needed to specially design a smaller fighter aircraft with foldable wings to maximize the number of aircraft that could be carried, utilizing the limited space inside the carrier aircraft. Boeing proposed the idea of a micro-fighter aircraft, a lightweight single-seat fighter capable of missile combat. The fighter would be released from the belly of the mothership, similar to launching a missile. The micro-fighter could perform combat missions within a certain range, such as air superiority, and could rely on the mothership's refueling equipment to increase its endurance. Upon returning, it would need to re-enter from below the mothership and be connected to the recovery hoist, where it could refuel and replenish ammunition. While it seemed feasible in theory, Boeing found many technical challenges during the feasibility study. In addition to the difficulty of modifying the Boeing 747 and developing the microfighter, designers discovered that the strong airflow around large aircraft like the Boeing 747 would adversely affect the release and recovery of the carrier aircraft. This made it much more difficult than aerial refueling and required the aircraft to maintain a stable speed and direction, making it an easy target. The deployment of the Boeing 747 AAC also posed problems, as the airborne aircraft carrier was intended to carry fighter aircraft to engage in combat at further distances, but in reality, it was also limited by the availability of suitable airfields. In this case, it would be more practical to use aerial refueling to extend the combat range of conventional fighter aircraft. The solution to this problem was to have the Boeing 747 AAC land on an aircraft carrier, allowing it to serve as an extension of the carrier's striking distance. The U.S. had indeed conducted tests for launching and recovering large aircraft on an aircraft carrier, but the results were not ideal. It required reinforcing and extending the carrier deck. High technical requirements and severely affected the carrier's carrying, launching, and recovery capabilities, even for Nimitz-class aircraft carriers. According to Boeing's report in the 1970s, they believed that the highly complex military equipment concept of the airborne aircraft carrier, while feasible under the existing technological conditions at the time, was far from reaching practical standards, and the cost was also unacceptably high. Therefore, the Boeing 747 AAC remained in the conceptual exploration stage.